I spent 10 years in the military as an artillery captain. And we often used to talk about these things as like a commander's intent, which means if I say to you, take the hill, I don't really care whether you go up the left side, the right side, or through the middle. I just want the ultimate result at the end of the day. And for me, the ultimate result was this amazing client experience for the customer. And the way that we were going to work out whether you hit the mark or not was whether you got a 5-star Google review.
So joining me on the line today, I've got Karl Schwantes from My 5-Star Review. Hey, Karl.
Good morning, David. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. We're just talking a bit about, how things are going in your beautiful background.
Yes.
You're going to pop the bubble. Is it real? Isn't it real?
The life of a Zoom world. Who really knows?
Yeah, we're not going to tell you. So tell me, My 5-Star Review.
Yeah.
What's it all about?
Well, the people who know me in Brisbane, where I'm from, often refer to me here in Brisbane as the Diamond Guy. Right. And that's because my family business that we have is a 45-year-old second-generation family business. Yep. We specialize in diamonds and engagement rings. And I've been doing it for over 25 years. But that all came to a bit of a challenging pause when our beloved COVID hit in, it was about March, April 2020.
Yep.
The government came out and banned weddings, which is not a great thing if that's pretty much all you do is engagement and wedding rings. So we pretty much lost 97% of our revenue for 8 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
And it really gave me some time to really stop, put pause on, where there was a lot of pause outside of my control, sure. But to really look at look at our numbers, where was our business coming from? Because at that time I'm trying to kind of go, well, where can I go and get some more business? And what I was amazed to find was that 25% of all of our sales had come from our Google reviews.
Right.
And that was like 173 sales. That was more than 3 sales every single week were coming in because of our Google reviews, which was a 7-figure income in top line revenue. And the part that really amazed me was that we were doing nothing actively to promote it in terms of no marketing expense, no Google AdWords, Facebook ads, or anything. And this money was just coming in, almost passively without anything on our part. And so it got me really thinking, going, well, this is actually something that's really quite amazing. I'm sure every other small business in Australia would love to kind of know how we did it. And so I kind of asked the question to some of my business colleagues and sort of said, look, this is what we're doing. Would that be of something of interest to you? And unanimously, everybody said yes. Yeah. So that really started the ball rolling. And then I started, going down the rabbit hole of really kind of working out why it is, how we did what we did. I mean, a lot of the things that we were doing were kind of unconsciously happening, fine tuning, sharpening the sword and that sort of thing. But it's been a great journey. And I love being in this space because if you think it's about Google reviews, then you kind of missed the point. What it's really about is it's about getting lead flow for the business. It's about having an incontestable online reputation and ultimately creating these remarkable experiences for your clients. And when you do that, it makes the getting of the Google review really super easy.
Yeah. And if you think about the whole star review system, this is what Uber's based on, Airbnb's based on, all these companies, it's a trust mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And it's not even just a trust mechanism. It's where and it's to me is that I was looking at the American system of customer service, and customer service is something that you do to a client. A customer experience is something that they feel. Yeah. So I was saying to my team, go out there and give a great customer service or whatever, but it was a very subjective rating. Yeah, what you would think is good customer service might be different to me or different to somebody else. But if I said go out there and give them a 5-star experience as rated by how they rated it on Google, that would then say, look, it doesn't really matter which way you go. I mean, I spent 10 years in the military as an artillery captain. And we often used to talk about these things as like a commander's intent, which means if I say to you, take the hill, I don't really care whether you go up the left side, the right side, or through the middle. I just want the ultimate result at the end of the day. And for me, the ultimate result was this amazing client experience for the customer. And the way that we were going to work out whether you hit the mark or not was whether you got a 5-star Google review. And so then it really empowered the team to go above and beyond for clients in ways that they knew, because they were dealing with the client would appreciate and value.
Yeah, fantastic. So let's talk about the anatomy. So when someone's thinking about Google reviews, because it's accessible to everybody,
Yes.
and it probably applies to almost every business to have some
I
level.
haven't found one yet that it doesn't.
So what are the key elements that people should be focused on? You've already talked about one, which is focusing on the experience rather than the service.
Yeah, the experience has to come first, because if you're not doing that, it will always feel like an arm wrestle. You know, it would always feel like there's this kind of either begging or pleading to get the review. If you have a remarkable, and if you think about the word remarkable, it has the word remark in it.
Yeah.
You know, which is what we're asking them to do when they leave a Google review. So you have to have that remarkable experience. You have to have a lot of other things in your sales and process that I teach, you know, in my program around persuasive priming. There has to be powerful scripts that is followed by all. There has to be a happiness window. There has to be the following up and the execution from a Googleization point of view, because there are about 5 different levels of a review, and most people are not aware of that. And what I often find interesting going into this world is that there's just so much. We all intuitively know that Google is important. 90% of all world searches is done on it. And we know that Google reviews work because oftentimes we've done it ourselves. I mean, how many, I don't know what the last purchase or restaurant or, you know, that you went to, but, you know, what do? We jump on and Google it. Like, what is it saying? What are the people saying? If they've got no reviews, you know, are they just new in business? Do they really know what they're doing? Or if they've got bad reviews, maybe then they're not as good as we think they should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's about getting all of that in the process. And then it's about enrolling the team.
Right.
Because as a business owner, and I don't know whether, you know, for many of your clients, whether they're single heroes or whether they've got a team of 3, 5, 10, but at some level, if you spoke to someone like Richard Branson, you know, he would say that one of your greatest assets in the business is your team.
Mm.
And getting there on your own is either very lonely or very exhausting. Yep. And the best way to do it is with teams. So it's about leveraging, enrolling the team with disciplines, routines, to make sure that they are being a stand for the customer experience in place of you as the business owner.
Yeah. So really like enrolling the team, making sure we talk about the experience rather than just the service.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you would add to that list of priorities?
It's to be diligent.
Yeah.
What I find oftentimes when people start this, they get a couple of wins under their belt and they go, oh, that was really good. Mm-hmm. You know, I've got a couple of Google reviews. Doesn't it feel great? And then it gets a strategy that gets put in the drawer.
Yeah.
And they go back to the old ways. And so what I try to get people to do is it needs to become part of your daily huddle, your weekly retrospective, your monthly, your quarterly, your annual goal setting, where the customer experience and the number of Google reviews that you receive becomes a line item on the agenda. And so much so that it just actually becomes the new water that you swim in. So I don't know about you, David, but you look like you're of my era. I'd hazard a guess that you probably learned on a manual car.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. You can't find them anymore these days. I've got triplet 15-year-olds and a 17-year-old. So we're going through that whole car learning phase at the moment, but they're only learning on manual automatics. Uh-huh. But I remember like with the manual, it was like there was the clutch, there was the gear stick, there was the mirrors, the indicator, and there were all of these moving parts. But now it's just one thing that you do. And what I find with businesses, it's about incorporating this as a strategy into their current thing, where just bolting it on, so it just becomes part of what they do.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is 3 things, right? First of all, we've got to go for experience, not service. Second is to make sure the team are 100% enrolled. Yep. And the third bit is to systematically integrate it into what we do, so it's not an extra, it's in there.
Yeah. That's that. If you can get those 3 things done, I mean, of course, there's a lot more in the experience space that you could dive into. Yeah. But like when I talk about experience, one of the things that people say to me is, "Oh, like I just want to be like 10% better than the competition. You know, I just want to be that little bit better." Mm. And the truth is, these days, that's no longer good enough. If you've done any research around Google's 0 moment of truth, it's a big study that Google did a number of years ago. But basically what they said was that customers will go online, Google you, research, you know, find out about you, and then they'll narrow it down to 3 businesses that they want to go and see. And, you know, if you're on that shopping list, that's great. But what I'm finding today is that people are so time poor that it's no longer 3, it's really just 1.
Mhm.
You know, the amount of times at the moment in the diamond business, I'm getting clients coming in and they're like, well, we've got about, for Xenox, we've got about 768 5-star Google reviews.
Right.
And it's like, you're the only person we're coming to. So there's no one else on the list. And provided you don't stuff it up,
you're rich.
You should get the client. They're not going to go anywhere else. But I often found that people, when they said that they came in because of a Google review, they usually spend more. They made a decision faster, and they didn't care about the competition.
Yeah, because they've got what's known as preponderance of proof, right? So social proof shows them that you're doing a good job because you don't just get 700 reviews. No. It's a matter of having a consistent approach, and I suppose that's the credentials. So it is important, and I think, as you said, most people, they see it as a nice to have, not a must have, and even more importantly, they don't use it as an intrinsic indicator of performance of the business.
Yeah.
So if I said, "How's your business tracking?" and people go, "Oh no, we're great. We've got plenty of money. What's your Google reviews?" Yes, those things. It's not intrinsic, right? So it needs to be almost brought in as a level of, this is how we measure our performance.
Yeah. The other big thing, and again, for most business owners that are not very tech savvy in terms of, like, you know, the SEO stuff that stands for search engine optimization, is that most business owners are quite shocked to find out that 33% of your SEO, that's the search engine traffic, comes from your Google My Business listing, and 16% comes from your Google reviews. So those two things together are nearly 50% of your local SEO.
Yeah, right.
And there's stuff that you can do all by yourself. You don't need to pay a digital marketing company, to do it. I mean, of course, there are benefits to doing that, but you don't need to. Just those two things alone can make a massive difference to the amount of traffic, appointments, and leads that you get through to your website. But it's got to be optimized. It's got to be done properly. It's like if you ever had to put together a piece of IKEA furniture and you get 3/4 of the way through and then realize you got one panel around the wrong way, and you've got to pull the whole thing apart and then redo it again. Having your Google listing like completely optimized is really super important. Like, for example, there's a program that I run, which is a 7-day challenge, and we run through every element of the Google My Business listing. One of the common things that I find is that most people write the bio or the about us part like a CV. Like, it's like, we've been in business for 30 years. We've won these awards, all of that sort of stuff. We're fast, efficient, reliable, whatever that is.
Yes.
That's not what people are searching for.
No, they're looking for stuff about that, what they want, right?
Problem, solutions, keywords, and all of that sort of thing. So what we do is we help them to really write their bio in a way that's really targeted with keywords. That's what Google is looking for. And it's Google is a game, and Google plays by rules. And it's very clear from the rules who the winners are and who the losers are. Fantastic. So you have to play by Google's rules and understand what is it that Google is looking for to put more eyeballs on your business.
So, Karl, let me ask you, if someone wanted to acknowledges that 5-star reviews are the go, what's the first step? What's the first step for them to move towards improving it?
Well, the first thing is to get the Google My Business listing optimized. Because what Google really loves is it likes an alignment of keywords that appear in your Google My Business listing to your Google reviews to your website. When you get those 3 things in alignment, Google goes, this is something really important, or this business really understands the rules of the game, and we're going to send more traffic their way. So my first thing would be to optimize your Google My Business listing, which, for those of you who sometimes I take it for granted that people know what Google My Business is. Basically, it's like the yellow pages. It's Google's indexing system of like a directory. So it's their online directory. The interesting thing is that 64% of people will get your contact details from your Google My Business listing, as opposed to 49% that go through to your website.
Yeah, right.
And we know that's true because the more clicks you make someone make, the more people that drop off.
Yeah, very good. So really starting with the Google My Business optimization and then working from there.
Then it's all about the experience. How do you differentiate from your clients? Do something completely different. So in my diamond store, when I built it, I built a whiskey bar inside the diamond shop.
Nice.
And so when we talk about the experience, it's about how can you build experiences within experiences. So when a client comes into me for an engagement ring, I'm like, well, before we get started, do you like whiskey?
Yeah.
And if the guy says yes, then I'm a whiskey fan. And so we start talking about the Japanese ones or the Irish or the Scottish. And there's this whole experience journey that happens all within that process of choosing an engager ring, that it actually changes the dynamic. It's now no longer me as a salesperson talking to you as a client. It's kind of like, well, we're just having this experience and sharing this whiskey. And mate, David, how can I help you?
Not the whiskey, thanks.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. Karl, look, mindful of time and really appreciate your input. We could obviously go for hours here, but some great insights. So really appreciate your time today, Karl.
Thank you, David. Glad to be here.
Yeah, awesome.